There we go. We have a guest on the train. Look at that. Someone's watching from the train. So we just went on a wildcrafting walk and got a bunch of random stuff. So
Let's see what we found. In that beautiful Carbondale, Illinois, I'm Lindsey Coyne. That's fine. I am Lindsey Coyne. My business is called Urban Forage, and I live in Des Moines, Iowa. I host many orchard walks there. Couple times a month, 3 times a month. You can find those at urbanforage.com. And
we did find a morel.
the luckiest find of the day.
I was just like, and everybody was like, where? You know, we were not able to find it.
It's already dehydrated.
It's like, that was the season.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
but
So
it is just the end of winter. So pretty much things are just starting to pop up.
it's a lot of spring ephemerals. We found some rockets, yellow rocket. These are the buds of the yellow rocket, and we just pinched the buds off. Most of them are unopened buds, and when these are steamed or parboiled, they will be much like broccoli, little broccoli florets. We have things to make the skin together here, so I'm gonna kind of separate it as we
There
go.
was a lot of small stuff we found.
That's the
Oh.
rocket. Those are the buds of the yellow rocket. And then we have quite a few yellow violets in here. Those are just tasty to eat by themselves, raw. And also some spring beauties.
There we go. Got the-
Here's some, so these are the spring beauties. There, and this is watercress. The watercress has very round leaves. This grows along the ground, ground cover. We did manage to find a few poke leaves. These are very young poke. Now this has to be cooked. Don't go.
But didn't you mention that most of these beans have to be cooked because they're more
Yeah,
bitter than we're used to?
yeah. A lot of the greens are better when cooked. And like these trout lily leaves, they have to be cooked as well. I'm gonna get one of these out. So sometimes the trout lily will just have like kind of white mottling on it. And then some of it has this red, as it matures, it gets this reddish color on it as well. We found just a ton of this, this is called onion grass. So it does have a small onion bulb there.
I always thought that was just wild garlic.
I think this one's a wild garlic. Maybe it is.
I don't know, but
It sure smells like garlic.
it's
Yeah,
really tall.
wild garlic. Well, then there's the confusion with the ramps because people often call ramps wild garlic as well. And this would be a different type of wild garlic. I did bring the ramps from a place in Iowa. We have a few more delicious edibles in here. These things that are all sticking together.
Show how they stick.
These are cleavers, so they cleave to things.
I remember always as a kid that they just really annoyed me. That's when they get
will-
dried, they stick really hard.
They do. They will stick to anything and they'll hang on. And then when they put off their seed is a little sticky ball too. So that sticks very easily to your clothes and marches right out of the forest and to wherever you're going. So cleavers can be cooked. You would want to cook them to get rid of this kind of stickiness that they have. they can be steamed or boiled. They don't have a really strong flavor. And then they can also be used medicinally, just as a tea. You can turn them into a tea and, they are a good tonic for the ear nicks and stuff.
That's awesome. I consider that a nuisance to me.
Right.
It said it doesn't really have much flavor, so it's more like a filler and you add flavors to it.
Yeah, yeah, and you can add this to any mixed greens that you have, but cook it, yeah. Salad type. This one is the wild ginger. So I just want to point out this very large furrowed leaf. It's very circular. The ends usually will wrap around so that it almost overlaps or touches itself here. And then you'll always find, almost always, two leaves with the flower in the center, and the flower is this dark kind of maroon color. It's very hairy. The flower itself is hairy, and then the stem of the leaf is very hairy.
Now, what part do you use? Don't use the whole thing.
No, we're not gonna use the top, but we can use this root. The root actually is not related to ginger. It's in Banbar.
And when I first smelled it, I was just like, it smells like dirt, but
And if you kind of
now
scrape it
it's
a
dry.
little bit.
It's like- It's so gingery, I taste it in my mouth.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So this can be used in a tea, or it can be cleaned up in candy. You would just put the roots into your sugar solution and candy them. Yeah. It's not something that we use
I
every
have one of
day.
the
like
people
we
who went
would.
on the walk with you, she wanted to show what she picked for based on your recommendation. It's just like, most of the same,
Oh, she
what made
got,
you decide to, what you picked, that's part of it.
I don't know.
What was it, the nettle you thought was kind of.
Yeah, she said I said that if you can get a good bunch, they're nice to cook up. And that they're
Okay,
favorite.
my hands are itching watching you handle that right now.
so I'm a little desensitized to it, but in addition to being a little desensitized, I don't touch the stem. I'm laying it in my hand on the leaves, in the same way that I pick it. So, I just fold the bottom leaves down.
So casual, so you're not touching the stinky part of the stem.
I'm not touching the stingy part, and
I definitely touched that one, and I'm at least once.
yeah, yeah,
Are the stingers only on the stalk?
on the stalk, yeah, on the stem there. And so these stingers actually contain urushiol, which is the same reactant that causes a rash in poison ivy. But because of the way that this is the way that it stings, it is milder, yeah, it won't make a rash usually.
You want to describe how it felt?
Uh,
You tried to eat like.
I didn't see it. I was kind of on a mission finding all that other stuff.
That's like itchy, burny.
It's kind of like the non-soft side of Velcro. Imagine teeny tiny version of that. That's like going into
Yeah,
the skin.
kind of like prickly. Yep. So nettles are one of the most nutritious greens that we can eat. They make a great tea.
Try to be careful. You gotta enter too.
There's some ginger roots. And there is some, well, garlic and some more of the spring beauties and yellow rocket. I'm just getting out some more nettle. That's a nice handful of nettle. That will turn into one bite when you get it nice and cooked. Yep.
But it's more green flavor than it's, I remember.
Well, it has a lot more nutrition in it too. The minerals and vitamins in these are really heavy. Oh, that's a beautiful collection. Oh, and then the other thing that I forgot We do have some common milkweed shoots.
Thank you. I got
So,
that's what.
yes, so milkweed always needs to be cooked. But milkweed shoots are edible. So we will just, boil these, for a few minutes. And they're very much like asparagus, they're very sweet. A lot of people have a misconception about milkweed, and that is, you've been told that it's bitter. That comes from the common look-alike.
Isn't all wild plants better for
No.
most people?
No, this should be sweet. Like even the milk of this would be slightly sweet if you put it on your tongue. Now, we don't eat milkweed
Well, I think
raw.
that's a, I was gonna ask.
We don't eat milkweed raw. But if you happen to get a little bit of it on your tongue, it would be sweet. The misconception is that people often confuse this for dog bane. Dog bane is poisonous.
I remember reading in Sherlock Holmes, something got poisoned.
Yeah, and they do look very similar when they're coming up, so you do have to know the difference between dog bane and milkweed before you go and harvest milkweed shoots. These are gonna look very, fuzzy on
It's
the
got like,
back.
it's got like hairs, teeny little hairs.
Mhm. Yeah, there are other identifying features that you.
So it's not one of those ones where I just put a little taste and see if
No, this isn't one that I taste. This is one that I make sure I have the right plant and then I will pick it and cook it. There are other edible parts of the milkweed. I really like to pick the buds before they open. They are very much similar to, just cooking like an unopened bud, like a broccoli flower. And then the milkweed flowers are delicious. You can just batter and fry them just as they are when they open up. And then the milkweed pods are probably my favorite. When they're teeny tiny pods like this, I like to steam the whole thing and eat the whole thing. It's tender, and I call them wild cheese sticks. Because the fluff inside of the milkweed pod just turns into this stringy cheese-like substance. And if you put a little salt on the outside, they're delicious.
while you were talking, I actually,
Thank you.
no, I like picked it up without freaking out.
Oh, good.
So I've been stung with stinging nettle a few times in my life. I did
Yeah.
not enjoy that flavor.
Right, yeah.
Whenever it was me, it'd be like me walking through a field and it'd be like.
And then
my
you're
whole leg.
holding, yeah,
Just like,
it's frustrating when that happens.
so I
Um,
wanna take revenge and eat them, so.
Okay, we can do that, we can do that.
Revenge gets settled.
So I did,
My last token Nettles.
That just.
thanks to our friend Molly, I was able to get some milkweed shoots for us to try today. And, oh, and then we also got spice bush leaves, which we will make a beautiful tea out of. It's a little,
Smell that.
yeah, the smell is really the identifying feature here, and it's gonna be kind of hard to smell through the camera.
It's like, I mean, like, it's like a bunch of spices all at once. I can't like.
Yeah.
Trying to think of what, I mean, it smells sweet too.
That smells a little sweet, it smells a little perfumey.
It's almost like, I don't know, chai, we have like a mix of a whole bunch of spices.
Yeah, I wonder if that's why they call it. I'm not sure.
It's just,
Yeah, they just didn't know what else to say. It smells like a lot of spices, we'll call it spice bush.
well, a lot of the common words for things about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this is an interesting little collaboration here.
Random mix of
Mixture.
stuff, huh?
Yeah, it's quite the mixture. Oh, and we have little oyster mushroom there.
And even though those did grow in the wild, those were locally grown by a local farmer.
And chestnut, which would be an Indoki
What's this one?
Are those chestnuts that are opened up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
There's oysters and chestnuts in there.
yeah. From our friends at Flatway Farm.
I always thought, we tried to get the dried morel, like, throw it back, when you find one, you throw it back in the bush and try to. Once you find one, you start finding other ones, usually, but I think that actually is, well, because that's actually dry.
Yeah, it is dry. Yep.
So essentially, I mean, you just make a light stir fry with it all.
I think we
or,
could probably do a little stir fry with this or a little.
I mean,
carb oil.
most of the greens basically disappear, so you're
Yeah.
trying to barely cook them to get the maximum amount of nutrition,
Yes,
so, but
yeah. a
that
little
is,
sauté
except
is
maybe
fine.
the onions, which you eat raw.
The onions could be eaten raw, the spring beauty and the violets are fine raw.
Okay, let me turn the camera down while you point to them closer.
Yeah.
So let's see.
So these are the spring beauties. They usually have little lines on the 5 petals. The leaf is very skinny and straight. Those are edible. The aerial parts are edible, and then also the corms down underneath the ground are called fairy spuds. And those can be cooked and eat. But these are edible raw, and I love to just throw them into a salad. They add a nice little color and flavor. And also these violets are edible raw. The violet flowers would be as well. Or the violet flowers and the violet leaves. There's a violet leaf.
Yeah, I love like. Just picking violets and just throwing it on top of any salad, because
Yeah.
especially the little flowers, I don't know, it's like, you eat with your eyes first.
Yeah, it brightens it up. And then other things, yes, the green garlic or onions you can eat raw. And then,
I mean, when you say you can eat this raw, what happens? I mean, is it just too bitter, too?
yeah, some of these things are
Tense
gonna
on
be a
your
little,
stomach.
yeah, they're gonna be bitter. The nettles, there are ways that you can eat the nettles raw, but,
Well,
it's
you
easiest
want to
to just.
sting the inside of your mouth.
Right, right. So how people do it is you can wrap it up in a leaf. And then, as long as this part, the shiny part of the leaf is, touching your mouth won't get itchy.
And, nettle is commonly made into a tea.
It is, it's a very nutritious tea, nutrient dense. Yes.
So,
And nettles are commonly used for seasonal allergies. Right now, the pollen is crazy. And if you drink and eat nettles daily during the allergy season, your allergy symptoms will be lessened.
so when you make the tea, do you, like, I tend to, when I do medicinal tea, to actually then eat the leaves afterwards.
That's
to
totally fine.
Fully get the med. So I mean, if you can steam nettles, you make the tea and then.
Yeah.
Eat the actual nettles, so you're not wasting any of it. That's what it's, Oh,
It's the end of the daylily. We did eat some daylilies.
so that's just the daylilies gone, it got eaten. Now, can you
Yeah.
cook that part too, or?
It might be a little too fibrous.
Yeah.
I usually remove the outer leaves and then just eat the very tender white leaves that's on the shoot. But then the daylily flowers too, later on in the summer, will be edible as well. So I think we got everything.
I don't know if we have to go over how to do a stir fry, I mean.
Yeah.
Again, the least amount of cooking it, right, the better, because you're trying to get maximum nutrition. I mean, we tend to do that with spinach all the time, where just cook it to death and it just disappears. So
Right.
it'd be similar with these type of greens.
Yeah, just a light.
How do you do the, I mean, this seems very asparagus.
Yeah.
You have to take most of the stem off or what?
No, we're gonna keep that part. We'll just probably pinch that off and or wash it maybe.
Very similar to asparagus.
Yeah,
Fiber.
we'd probably boil them first.
Now, if you did this as stir fry or soup. I guess you just taste it and add the flavors of your preference. We didn't find, I tend to like, sour. I didn't.
Oh, we
see-
didn't see any sorrel.
Yeah, I usually will not cook it with the, and just add it like on the top of it.
Yeah,
Like, what do a lot of people put like cilantro or parsley on the top of the soup
Right.
or a stir fry? So I really like to throw a little sorrel on the top. So.
Yeah.
Good deal.
the trout lily leaves, we do wanna make sure we cook them. They can cause some digestive upset if you were to eat those raw.
Now, do you think that's because people aren't used to it, or it's definitely, no matter how much you eat?
Yeah, I think it's just gonna do that to most people's. But cooking it makes it edible.
Very good. So, any last minute things you wanna cover here? With this, make a little soup, make a little stir fry, and try not
Have a
to
little-
cook it. Oh, spice
We're
tea,
gonna make some spices.
do we make a nettle spice tea?
We can.
Oh, it'd be nutritious
Unless you
and
want the
flavorful.
nettle and the,
Okay.
they might make.
Well,
the
we
rest
probably
of
need the
stuff
nettle,
smell
because we don't have that much
better.
drainage, really.
Yeah.
Considering how many of us picked. It was a pretty sparse winter, late winter day here, so.
It's 70 degrees out, it's really nice.
Yeah, it's like, so, thank you for coming to Southern Illinois, and we tried to figure out. Because, yesterday, we actually got a frost. So I don't know how cold it was up in the great north, but it's just like. All right, any final words?
I don't know, I'm tempted to use the catchphrase from Alexis Nicole, like, happy snacking, don't die.
Just
like Please make sure that you know identification before you go foraging. Please make sure that you're aware of any dangerous lookalikes to your plants. Foraging is fabulous, it is free food. You just don't wanna pick the wrong thing.
There you go. And does the cooking help it if it's poisonous? Not usually.
Oh, that's gonna depend on
Okay.
what it is.
We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. And we're gonna cook some soup and make a stir fry and have a potluck here.